Hello, and welcome to the wonderful Crusader Kings 3. Now, today we're going to be taking a bit of a look at the things that have changed. Not everything. I'm planning to make a separate video looking a bit more into the actual, when you're in the actual game, playing it, the UI changes there. But I thought I'd start a shorter video off first, looking into pretty much most of what's going on before you actually start playing the game. There's still a fair bit of difference there. So that's options menu, talking a bit about how the engine's improved, and the ruler selection as well. I thought I'd talk about that. So the easiest thing to start off with would be the settings. And there are some definite differences from previous Paradox games, especially Crusader Kings 2. And we can look at them here. So you'll immediately notice a lot more graphics options than Crusader Kings 2 is used to. It does not usually have this many. It's usually a very basic set of graphical options in CK. But with this new, much improved engine and just better 3D assets and things like that, they have really added in some extra graphical options. Most of mine are near max. The main thing I've got down is shadows and a few other things in fact, it's pretty much on max, apart from AA is 1 from max, and shadows is 1 from max as well, but everything else is pretty much max. I could probably get them to max. I just thought I'd put them down for my first try and everything was fine. Also, critically for this game, we have a windowed option, which is revolutionary for some reason for Paradox games. Their old, very clunky Clausewitz engine could barely handle itself, and alt tabbing was dangerous, to be quite honest. But no, now we've got, it is borderless windowed, just to clarify. A lot of games do just call borderless windowed now, since it's pretty much what most people use. Not everyone, but yeah, that is borderless window, and I can report it works completely fine. There's no issues with it at all. Also, quite relevant, is you've got full GUI scaling. Quite a lot of options here on how to scale it, whether decreasing it or increasing it. And I can honestly see decreasing it a bit. It is pretty big, but I love this because my eyesight is not very good, and a lot of previous Paradox games they haven't always had the best time with some of their UI sometimes, especially a few certain games. Their text hasn't always been the best. But this is a really good option. You can actually see them trialing this in CK2. They had it in a beta only recently. So they were clearly working on this. They were clearly looking into scaling the GUI specifically for CK3. I'd imagine they were just testing it in the older game to see what people thought. I don't know if that ever came out of beta. I'm not sure, but it was still in beta not too long ago anyway. And then I believe that's pretty much everything on here. Then you can go into audio. There's not much to talk about here. I think the only main difference is that interface sound is separate to all sound effects. The only thing I don't know is if this still affects interface sound. So I don't know if you... I'd imagine it does. It still says all sound effects. And it very clearly highlights it in that flavor text there. But I'm not too sure how... If that does, you still need to adjust it separately. If this still does affect interface. So if you turn down all sound effects, I'm not too sure. But yeah, it is nice having the interface options separate. I do like that, because I really like the interface sound effects, especially in Crusader Kings 2. Really like them, but some of the other sound effects are way too loud, like death sounds, things like that. Way too loud. And then we've just got the game settings. There's not a whole lot here, but the main thing is the tooltip options here, which is a new system that they've put in. There's 3 different options, but basically they've really expanded on the readability and being able to find the information you need when you need it. And what they've done is tooltips. If you, by default, it's on timer lock. If you hover over it for, I think, 1.6 seconds, it locks the tooltip there, which allows you to mouse over anything in the tooltip and you get extra information. I will show you at some point. It could possibly be in the next video that I do on CK3, but it's very useful. But I found the timer to be a bit too long, but then when I decreased it, I actually found it annoying. I decreased it to 1 second, but I actually found it was locking too much, to be honest with you. It was getting a bit annoying. It was locking a bit too much, and the windows kept kind of getting in my way. So instead, what I did is change it to action lock, which means all you have to do is press the middle mouse button and it just locks her in. So it never locks them automatically, but if you want to lock something, your middle mouse. I really like it now that I've done it, because there's a lot of tooltips I don't need to look at, but there are some that I do. So, 80% of the time I don't need to lock it, and it's annoying when you actually do want to look at it, look at it visually, but you don't want to highlight it, but then it still locks if you're just looking at it and it kind of gets in the way. But no, I think action lock is really nice. I think that's definitely how I'm going to keep it. You've also got, of course, intersave, autosave interval. There's nothing really different there. I have got edge scrolling off. I immediately noticed with how they've changed the UI in this game, edge scrolling, in my opinion, doesn't really work. It's very annoying. Because the character selection screen, the actual character's profile and stuff is now at the bottom left of the screen, and every time you go down there, it starts edge scrolling just immediately before you can even get near it. It's not like you can't access the menu, you can, but I found it quite annoying. I kept edge scrolling by accident many times at the beginning. I'm sure I'd get used to it, but in my opinion, you don't even need edge scrolling. I always move with the middle mouse in Paradox games. Apart from, I think the really old ones don't let you do that, but anyway, they're super old anyway. Also, you can disable graphic diseases and injuries on 3D models, which is quite a nice feature. It's kind of like the disable gore thing of some of the games. But those are pretty cool. That's pretty much all the options that you've got there. Next, we can dive into the ruler selection. So we'll hit new game here. And then you've got the 2 start dates. I'm really glad they put in 867 and didn't make it a DLC. You can play pretty much any culture from the get-go this time. A lot of people, including myself, worried, that they were gonna rehash all the DLC Sims. But no, they actually didn't. There's a few little things missing. Societies is quite a big thing that's missing, but they needed a lot of tweaking anyway. I don't mind if they come in later, if they ever come in. Societies, especially the Dark Societies, was pretty busted, in my opinion. You could easily live to like 100 very easily. But anyway, yeah, it's pretty much all here for the most part. There's a few things, gone, but it's pretty much as it was, but just expanded, which is fantastic. So anyway, yeah, you've got 3 different choices of each date, and there's no differences. It's just that it gives you flavor text on situations. You've got the College Indians here, and you got the whole family, that dynasty, and you can choose each one. And when you do, you get some flavor text, a nice little background, and then you get a nice little piece of text at the end that sort of gets you into the game. And it reminds me of Civ, can your civilization stand the test of time? That's what it reminds me of. But each one's a bit different. Some of them, it will actually say, this guy was assassinated when he was quite young by his brother. Can you, change history? In fact, I'll show you it now. I believe it's Iberian pieces. You got King Anso over here. And you can see, and after a rule marked by warfare and defeat, he was assassinated by his own siblings. But then it says, rewrite history, outsmart your family, and secure your domain and heritage. I like that. It's very cool. It does have the difficulty on them. Now, it doesn't show the difficulty for every single person you play as like it did in Seagate 2. That difficulty, it barely meant anything. It really didn't mean anything. But I think these difficulties are a bit more accurate. I think he will actually be pretty tough. When you go to choose any ruler, it does not give you a difficulty for those people. So yeah, that's mainly what you're looking at in the map. Very nice little stylized screen. But what actually happens, well, first we'll look at the rules. So there's not a whole lot going on. You can enable Iron Man. You got some really standard ones. You can actually disable nudity, and I have now seen it's not full nudity, but semi nudity in some events. You can disable that. I also seen in this game you can actually get rid of the ability to kill other players in multiplayer, or you can just get rid of the ability to kill their family, I think. Okay, so it's either you just can't kill players, but you can kill their families, which I quite like that option, or you can't kill them and their families. I think that's a bit far. I don't mind you can't kill the player, but you can kill their family. That's pretty good. I quite like that. That's what I call wholesome mode right there, when you can't kill each other. But anyway, yeah, so those are the options. Nothing really major. You've got easy and very easy, where you can't earn Iron Man achievements. But anyway, quickly going into the full ruler selection. This actually is very interesting. It fully renders the game. So when I do press play, it immediately jumps into the game. No hesitation. This game is actually rendered now. You know, pretty much more or less. This is rendered. It's not just a selection screen. So immediately in single player, we can actually just open for multiplayer. We can observe or choose a random character, which is pretty cool. I chose Italy in my stream. That's where I did. And you'll notice you immediately get quite a lot of details. You get this nice little highlight on people whenever they're involved in something. It pops up in events as well. And I can middle mouse, and you can see that locks in the tooltip. You see that little border expanding? And then, hold on, now it's locked. Now I can look at every individual thing, you know, which is really nice. You know, their health, when he's born, all the good stuff. It's a really nice option, that tooltip lock. The only thing I'm a bit confused about is it doesn't show you who you're at war with. Now, most of these people, okay, maybe not. A lot of people are at war at this time, but it doesn't. They've chosen not to tell you who you're at war with. I believe this is because they wanted to they want to emphasize that choose your own adventure system, and you don't know what you're getting into. I quite like that. I do, as quite a heavy RP player. I like that, but at the same time, especially if you're new to the game and you don't know what kind of challenge you're going to get, it's very important. You know, there's a big difference between if I'm at war with, you know, just Sicily, or if I'm at war with all of West Francia. There's a big difference there, but it doesn't actually tell you. I wouldn't mind maybe if there was an option in the menu that could say hide who you're at war with if you really want to go in not knowing what's going on, you know. That would be kind of cool. But as far as I'm aware, it does not tell you at all who you're at war with. I can tell you he's at war with this place here, and they call in Sicily, but that's only because I've played it that I know that. So yeah, other than that, you can filter to empires, and this pretty much shows, I believe, what empires you can form, which is pretty cool. Good old meme lord Tibetan Empire over there. Britannia, all the good stuff. And it shows you kind of where I own currently, which is the white outline, and where I need to get. So I've actually nearly got it. It's just Rome, and then the islands here. But yeah, and you've got also kingdoms, of course, and duchies, where it gets very border gory. And of course, you got houses as well. That's pretty cool. I haven't actually looked at this one much, but you got the Carling family. And then we've got cultures, which is it plays actually a stronger part in this game than it used to, in my opinion. And then faiths, which is really nice. All those options are pretty damn helpful. It's really cool that you can just open for multiplayer. That already shows the engine is more stable. Many of you are probably aware, you know, if you went into multiplayer and backed out, it just like broke the entire game and you had to restart it because it would change certain critical parts of the engine. And yeah, it was messy, but it looks better now, more refined. In general, you'll see it a lot more in my next video, but in general, this the entire thing is far more streamlined. The engine, I cannot believe how much they've improved this engine. Clausewitz engine has always been, quite honestly, put together with duct tape. It's really been a very messy hodgepodge engine that barely gets by and is not well optimized. Don't get me wrong, it had a lot of tasks to deal with, you know. It's got to deal with every single character doing something every like second or two of the clock passing, but still, it's insane how far they've come. This game does not stutter at all for me. Even on 4 speed, when there are notifications coming up, it doesn't stutter at all. When I can go through menus with absolutely no lag to my cursor or anything when it's running at 4 speed. Even 5 speed, I'd imagine, is quite stable. It might be a little more unstable, but 4 speed's good, and nothing happens at all. It's incredible. And my computer is capable, you know, it's aging a little bit, but it's still good. And yeah, it just runs like an absolute dream now. It feels so good to finally see a Paradox game just run so smoothly. And I think this engine is going to be a real stepping stone from here on. I think this really marks a turning point for Paradox. And I can't wait to see how they use this engine in, eventually, we all know Vicky 3 will happen one day. Having an engine this good really sets up what Vicky 3 and, you know, anything like EU5 or whatever, what those games can be. They can be so much more with this engine now. But I think it truly shines with the CK3 system, sorry. It's very impressive. One last thing before we wrap up this particular video is the smooth map transition. So you zoom out and you've got the paper map, which is very nice, very stylized. It reminds me of some EU4 map mods, to be honest. You've got the artistry there, which is pretty cool. You zoom in, you get the political map, classic CK2, and then you zoom in further and you've got the terrain map mode, and you can specifically see when you're selecting who to play as, you can see who their main vassals are as well, and what areas they control, which is very, useful to see. It's very nice. And I will show you before we wrap up this video just very quickly. Literally, all I have to do is press play, and it will pop right into the game. I should have mentioned also you cannot see your character's traits quite quickly there. Characters have a lot less traits in CK3. They don't have a million traits like they used to. Maybe not quite as awesome, but I haven't played enough to know what kind of crazy traits you can get. I know you can still get Pilgrim. I do know that for a fact. But anyway, if we were to just click play, just like that, it's into the game. Now, I found when you first zoom out between the map modes, it does lag a little bit sometimes. It can hang up for just a moment. But then after like those first 1 or 2 times, it never does it again for me. It's completely smooth. You can see tiny little stutters as it's getting used to it. But it just feels so smooth, so good. I love how it transitions between map modes now. There's a lot less map modes that you can do manually. A lot of them aren't really needed that much now. You can find the information in new places. This game really has improved on giving you information. All the relevant information for the most part. There's a few tiny little things they need to tweak, I think, but it's a huge improvement. But I will go through all of that in the follow-up video. It's not really a part 2. But if you do want to see the, everything that's changed with the UI and stuff in the actual game, you can probably already see some of it. It's quite a departure from previous Paradox games. That will be coming soon in another video. But anyway, that's all for now. Just basically going through what's changed, running up to before you actually start playing the game. There's quite a lot there, but the next video is definitely going to be longer, and there's a lot to talk on with that one. But I'll try and keep it still quite concise. But anyway, thank you for joining me on this video, and I look forward to many CK3 videos to come in the future. Hello everyone, thank you for joining me on what should be a first of many CK3 videos to come. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, feel free to like the video, and more importantly, subscribe so you can see when the next videos are on the way. There will be a follow-up video to this with a lot more information, as I said, about what the changes in the actual game. And then after that, I'll be going into a lot more actual playthroughs, a lot of the fun stuff with CK. So I'm really looking forward to that. But mainly, where you can find the rest of my content is on my stream, which you got the link for right there. That's twitch.tv/Ziflog. If you want to see me streaming quite a bit of CK live when I have the time. But there will also be games that I play off stream and turn into videos as well, to keep some fresh content for here as well. So both here and Twitch will be great. And until the next video, thank you so much for stopping by, and I will catch you on the next one.